All right, so we're putting together the recording of Is the National Publicity Summit Really Worth It? And we'll give you a little more detail on exactly who we are. I'm Jess Todtfeld. Scott Lorenz is on the line as well. And Scott, how should we lead off? What do you think? Is it really worth it?
Well, I think people should be the judge. After they hear this conversation today, they'll be able to make that determination.
Right.
I think it's worth it. I've been going to it for 11 years now. I think it's worth every penny.
Right. I was there. I was a producer who was one of the people being pitched. And since then, I'll explain it on a deeper level. Since then, I've been working in a different way with the summit on the other side after I left television and left being a producer. So some interesting things happened. But let's explain who the heck we are first before we really dive deep. So take it away, Scott.
Well, I'm a book publicist. I've been in the PR business for 20-some-odd years, 25 years. I work with doctors, lawyers, authors, entrepreneurs, startups, iPhone app developers, and I've promoted all types of things for all types of people, from billionaires to adventurous to guys in the garage with a brand new startup. So I love publicity. I love promotion and marketing, and I love books. I've always been a big fan of books. When I was in college, well, I didn't read a lot of those books, but I brought in lectures for our university. I was a director of student activities for the University of Nevada, Las Vegas during my tenure way back when. And I brought in some terrific authors, just about everybody who was hot back in the day, for lecture series. Everybody from Leonard Nimoy to David Frost to Eric von Däniken, all those folks. And I've always had a great interest in books. So one of my customers decided to write a book and asked me if I could promote it. I said, sure, let's go. In fact, even back in college, I promoted a book by Howard Hughes, one of his aides, way back when. So it's kind of funny how it all, I have a long background in book promotion and so forth.
The world was pointing you in that direction even then.
Right.
That's right. It's funny. So I'll give everyone a little background on me. My name is Jess Todtfeld, and I was a TV producer on the national level. I worked at ABC, NBC, and Fox. And I did that for 13 years, and it was great and fun, but at a certain point it was time to do something different. So I changed and started the next chapter of my life, which is I started a communication training company, and it's really two parts. I help people who want to have specific and definable results when it comes to media interviews or speeches. So essentially media training and presentation training. But long before that, I'm going to explain how I fit in with the summit here. In say 1998, I think it was about 98, I was on the show Fox and Friends, and Steve Harrison reached out to me, and they had just started. I don't know if it was the very first summit or the second summit, but I think it was the first one. And they said, we want to do this thing, and it's like speed dating with journalists, and we want you to be one of the people. And I think back then he was even making the personal calls and emails. And then they were really courting me because they were trying to get this thing off the ground. And then when I went to the summit, it was nice. It was easy. It was a couple of hours. As a producer, they put you on this stage. They have a whole panel, and Steve asks questions about what you like and what you don't like and what really works and what are some inside secrets for breaking through and all that stuff, so you get to kind of feel good about yourself. You're giving information. And then they break away, and you go into this next room, and they set up kind of little chutes, little lanes, I guess I could call it. They have all the producers there, and there's a big sign behind them saying whatever show or outlet they're from. Some people are obviously print or radio. And then people get a number, and they come up every 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, and they get to come up and say, here's my story or my pitch, and I have this thing, or I wrote a book about this thing, and what do you think? Do you want to do it? And I would leave there with certainly a number of folks who would be good, and there were some folks who weren't so great, and that's just life. It's some people are going to have something really interesting that works for me and doesn't work for somebody else. But yeah, it was a good experience, and I'll come back to it in a minute and tell you now after I let you chat about how I ended up making my way back after I left television. So how did you end up going initially, Scott?
Well, I think it was I saw a YouTube video about the first one, and I was a member of their organization by virtue of the fact that I received their databases. I bought their databases of media outlets years ago, and I also subscribed to a newsletter that talked about book marketing for, I don't know, 20 years or so. And then they just talked about the PR Summit, and I said, okay, I'm going to check it out. I watched a little video on YouTube, and I said, I'm going. I was so excited because this was an opportunity to meet these high-level producers, media outlet representatives, and reporters, just people you would never get in the same. It's amazing to me sometimes that there's this many people in the same room with this much power. I walk in there sometimes, I look and I see, the top producer from Good Morning America or producer from CNN. This last summit, there were like 4 or 5 people from Fox News, people from Fox and Friends, people from the health division at Fox News. That was particularly interesting to me because I have a couple of books on promoting their health and fitness related and medical related books. And then it's just amazing. And here's the bottom line, because it boils down to this. If you were to go to New York, just land there yourself and go knock on doors, you can't even get in the door of, and after 9/11, everything changed, man. They don't even let you talk to these people. You cannot go walk in and go see a producer at Fox or CNN or ABC News. Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They don't know you from a bale of hay. I can't even imagine trying to do that today. Even getting them a book, you got to hand it to a courier, and the courier has to take it up. And so many things changed after 9/11. It's not even funny. It's all everybody's in a cocoon in a way. So to be able to meet these top producers and top media representatives in a room and give them a pitch is fantastic. And for dollar, you can't beat the value. You just can't beat it.
Now, and you're a publicist.
Yeah, I'm a publicist, right? And I have databases that I buy. Yeah. I spend thousands of dollars a year on databases trying to reach members of the media. And I got to tell you something. Email was great a few years ago, but it's fallen on deaf ears these days. So we're back to face-to-face. And this is an event. The PR Summit is an event that allows you to meet some of these top people face-to-face. Some people you create a relationship with, and some you don't. And some people like your story, some people won't. But the nice part about it, when you're making a pitch, minute-long pitch, you got to get right to the point. You heard of an elevator speech, okay? Obviously, people know about elevator speeches, the time it takes to give a talk about you, your book, or whatever, from the time you get from the ground floor to the floor number 5 or 10 or 20 or whatever. That's the elevator pitch. This is what you have to do at this event. You've got to be able to get to the point quickly. You've got to be succinct, and this event actually does train you to do that. I've sharpened my own skills in doing this, and I've been making pitches on various products and services and books for 20 some odd years.
Now, a lot of people who go are pitching themselves or their book or, their own thing. But
right.
You're a publicist, you're pitching a whole bunch of different clients.
Right. So I'll size up the media outlet. Let's say there's somebody like somebody from Fox who focuses on health. Okay, well, I'm not going to pitch the historical fiction book on Hungary to this person, okay? I'll pitch the diet book about the new sugar-free diet and stuff like that, or an iPhone app I'm representing that's about rotation diets. I'll pitch that to that media rep. And then I'll save the historical fiction book for someone who writes for the Smithsonian Magazine, or for someone who is interested in that, like Cigar Aficionado, one of those. There's a rep that freelances for that magazine that attends, and they are interested in that type of thing. So you got to know what to pitch to who.
So you said, what is it, 11 years you've been going there?
Correct, 11 years.
And they do it twice a year sometimes.
Right.
So the average person and we're recording this to be of help to the person who's saying, should I go? Should I not go? Is it good? We figure we'll just record us talking for a little while about the ins and outs. But you've paid, sometimes twice a year.
Right. It's very expensive, but it's an integral part of my operation. So I allocate for it, and
you're kind of smart as a publicist. Your thought process is you're essentially dividing the cost amongst,
a few other accounts.
Clients. Yeah,
right.
You have multiple clients, they're paying you. So in your mind, you're thinking, okay, well, essentially, I'm going to be going and pitching on their behalf. Do you charge them a little extra, or do you just in your
No.
mind just build it in?
No, I don't charge any extra.
X number of clients divided across them, and if you're getting more business for them, then it's a plus.
Right, exactly.
And you're doing your job, and they stick with you longer, and then
right. I mean, I got to.
Back.
At the end of the day, I got to deliver the goods. Nobody wants to hear about how hard I'm working. They want to hear about where am I going to be booked on this show, or when is my next TV appearance, or when am I going to get some ink, and that's what people want. So this allows me to facilitate that expectation.
And I guess it's been working out for you. What kind of results have you gotten?
I've had clients on Fox and Friends. I've had clients.
My old show, not through me.
Yeah, your old show. I pitched you way back when.
You did.
Yes, way back when. And back in the olden days.
Yeah.
And I've had. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, I can't even remember all these things because it's just. I was on. I just this last summit in the fall. I pitched a writer from thestreet.com, and we had 2 stories before I left the room on the calendar for clients. They write about financial stories and so forth.
Right.
Some of the people that go there are really anxious to try to help out, and if they like you and they like your story or your book or your whatever, then they're going to jump on it.
So I'm going to tell you the best thing that ever came out of the summit for me personally, which is because Steve Harrison kind of put me in that little world, and he invited me to some of these other stages where they would have, say, 4 big producers, somebody like that, sitting on the stage, and he would give some advice, and he would kind of ask all of us, and it gave, and I hate to say star power, but, it was for people in the room. When he would go to a book expo or some other big event, at the time it was like Mark Victor Hansen events, he's the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, and because I was kind of in these circles, and even some of the speakers who come to the summit, it got me thinking bigger than what I was doing then, which was okay, but I was getting kind of tired of it. And it was, hey, I could, maybe I should start my own business. And this is shortly after 2000, when my first son was born in 2000. I was saying, I need to build something that's my own. So I ended up building the business that I have now. And then in 2007, when I officially, it took me a couple of years to kind of figure out the business side and like, how do I do this and all that. But when I officially left television, I said to them, I'm not going to be able to be a producer at the summit anymore. You guys were amazing. You really put the ideas in my head that led for me to have this freedom that I have to have my own business, and I thank you for it. But I guess, that's it. So I to their credit, they said, well, look, we like you. We like that when you've been at the summit, and other folks do this, it was besides me, but when someone would come up and the pitch didn't work for me, I would give them ideas. I would say, if you change that pitch and you just said it just this way, it would work for that guy over there on that show. But because that's what he looks for. Or here's a phone number for somebody I work with, and they sit 10 feet from me, but would it be perfect. That's what they're looking for. They're the health reporter. I don't do
Right.
So they were like, you know what, you've always, kind of done right by us. And people who go to the summit will meet some people like that, meaning some of the producers will be exactly like that. Will there be some people who are grumpy there? Sure, you walk down the street, you're going to meet somebody who's grumpy, and then people in between. But you'll definitely meet some people that were doing some of what I did. But anyway, so they said to me, Jess, it's a shame for us to just all walk away. What if you did some sort of workshop day before the summit, and what if it was part media training, but also part, really giving people everything that's in your head so that they can do a great job at the summit. So we came up, I did this thing the day before. I'm not promoting it today because the idea of this call was for us to just talk about, is the summit worth it? But we put that together, and it was fantastic. And I've been doing this now since 2007, twice a year. So it's been amazing, and even just through that, I've met amazing people. And I'm going to give, now because I said something somewhat promotional, I'm going to flip over to the other side. When you go to the summit, some of the best things that happen are the things that happen in between the actual scheduled events, meaning, in between meeting all the producers and the media folks. Just all of those people in that room who are attendees are already at this this bigger qualified level, as they say in the world of sales. You know, they've spent this money to show up, to fly from all over the world. People in that room are from Australia and the UK and China and Africa, and you name wherever it is, Dave.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And then obviously some people, like you said, I know when we went out, when you came in last time, we went out to dinner, and a bunch of folks from that summit came with us. There were at least 2 millionaires at that table, multimillionaires, who, hey, let me tell you what's inside my head. And some of them, Scott and I like to think we've been doing this for a while, and I don't pretend I know every last thing, but we're going to have to do another one of these recordings because there's stuff Scott does that goes so far beyond what a publicist does. We got to build on that. But there was a guy at the table who was like, all right, here's what I do, and here's what's different. And both Scott and I were...
We were taking notes.